Hello, I'm Martin Mercer.
And I'm James Mastriani.
You've never heard of us.
We're two Brits who grew up in North London and have had varying success in the film and television industry.
In our ever-advancing age, we find ourselves on the wrong side of Hollywood. In our series of podcasts, we'll share our experiences of what it's like being a British bloke living and working,
or not,
in the biz.
We'll discuss everything from fish and chips to things that wind us up.
So stay with us. It's all uphill from here.
This podcast may contain strong language. If you're of a sensitive nature or easily offended, we invite you to, as they say in Blighty, jog on.
Thanks to our dear listeners like you, the Wrong Side of Hollywood podcast is made possible by donations from our Patreon members.
Whether it be a one-off or a generous monthly contribution, why not consider heading over to patreon.com/the wrong side of Hollywood.
There you can become a member and have access to behind-the-scenes videos and other exclusive content. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Friday, mate.
Thank you. It looks like the weather's sunny. Sunny.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, it's bucketing in Blighty.
Is it?
And yeah. They say it's going to be the wettest fucking summer, and that's when we're going back. The wettest summer. It's going to be gushing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit...
30 days of rain. It's like a bad movie by the guy who did The Day After Tomorrow. Bless him.
Yeah.
Actually, I like a lot of his
Dean
films.
Devlin. Isn't it Dean Devlin?
Well, he's the producer.
Oh.
Yeah, who's the director?
The other guy.
Yeah, the one who did. The one who did.
I like how we're prepared for this one.
Jesus Christ! No, he didn't do Jesus Christ. That
was
but
Andrew
he did
Lloyd Webber.
Independence Day.
Yes,
and I love that film, and it's still awesome.
No, it's
but
one of the
it
best.
seems like that. But I'm going to start off actually by calling you a prat and a plonker and a pillock.
How dare you, madam?
Exactly. Well, it basically kind of wraps into this situation in Britain where the younger generation are forgetting these wonderful insults that we have. And pillock, plonker, prat, blighter, nitwig, scallywag, git, and numpty. Now, I've not heard numpty for a long time, but you git, I think is still very usable. Scallywag is a bit, Charles Dickens.
Well, yeah, but Moni, she always calls me a scoundrel.
She calls you a
Yeah, she goes,
God.
you're a scoundrel.
That opens up the corridors of your relationship. Maybe we don't want to go down
No,
there.
no. It's
you scoundrel.
Yeah, you see, I think Moni was born in like the 18th century and uses terminology of that era for describing me.
Right, well, she should look up these words and use them, bring them back.
Yeah, pillock is a great one. I do like pillock.
Pillock is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because the very sound of it, first of all, it comes at you with a boom. It's a pill.
Yeah.
A pillock.
Yeah.
And then you have stuff like toss pot and toe rag.
Right.
Now, toe rag's a bit East End of London.
Yeah.
1960s, isn't it? You toe rag.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a slap.
People, if you could see Martin's face, he's suddenly become very hard.
I'm going to give you a slap. I'm going to have a word in your shell like,
And I do mean that in English terminology of coming hard. You coming hard?
Oh, I'm arriving with inflexibility, mate.
Carry on.
Ejaculating
No.
inflexibility.
No.
Coming hard.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Oh, yeah, so all these wonderful words, and there's a real concern they're going to... can't get the words out, James.
Say it. Just
Verbally
say it.
constipated. I need some coffee. Maybe that'll loosen my vowels.
I'm trying to think of a response and I can't.
You can't, don't worry.
No.
It's too funny. But these wonderful words, this wonderful language, and it's kind of being forgotten and dying out. And the thing is, unfortunately, we don't have the inch-high tech guy here because he has all these terms now, like he's claiming fame, my son Lucas, for saying, oh, that's ass water. Oh, that's ass water, Dad.
That's horrible.
It is, but I can't help but be proud.
Yeah, but he's 12.
Yes, all right. It's a small detail. It's a small detail. But I know, I was shocked at first, and I did feel the parental need to give him a bollocking.
Right.
But the thing is that then I said, really? I said, did you come up with that? Arse water or ass water?
Right.
I said, that's actually quite a good description.
But what's he referring to?
Well, if something's rubbish, we might go, oh, that's shit, or that's
Right.
rubbish.
Yeah.
But he'll turn around and go, oh, that's ass water, Dad.
Well, it's like the old terminology for if something's bad, it's bollocks. But if something's good, it's the dog's bollocks.
Right.
So I can see why people would get confused with
So
terminology.
instead of ass water, if it was good, it would be, that's ass champagne. Maybe not.
All these images just don't do it for me somehow.
No,
No.
but he's really proud. He came up
Yeah.
with that. And then there's stuff like, he goes, what the Sigma? What the Sigma? Which
Sigma?
I think, what the Sigma? Which I think means, what the hell?
Yeah, I would imagine that would be it. But is it
Something
like
like that.
referring to something?
I don't know.
You know, it's like Battlestar Galactica. They wouldn't say fuck, so they said frack. Yeah, what the frack is going on? Or frack you, man. And that was...
Oh, my.
And it was good because it was fine for its time. It was a bit weird at first, but you kind of get used to it. And then people start using it in the lexicon in normal life. They're like, oh, frack you, man, or frack off, or whatever. But it's odd, but it worked for the show.
And you see, that would pull me out of the show.
Yeah.
I'd keep screaming at the screen, fornication under consent of the king. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. But I was thinking you and I should keep it alive and strong with the swear words. I was trying to think of some real insults. I think I love Muppet. I love cockwomble.
Yep. Oh, cockwomble's a brilliant one.
Cockwomble's beautiful.
Yeah.
Fuck
trumpet.
Fuck trumpet.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. And you can shorten that to fuck Trump. Anyway, moving on
not
swiftly.
political.
No,
Nothing.
Nothing
to see here.
No, Trump fuck, I mean. Trumpet. Fuck trumpet, as
fuck
you said.
trumpet.
Yes. Anyway, and then there's stuff such as, what's the other one? Waffle. Twat waffle.
Twat waffle, yeah, that's always good. Now, you see, it's interesting because over there we say twat, T-W-A-T.
Yeah.
But over here in America, they pronounce it twat.
Yes. And it still means the fanny.
It means the same thing, but no, it's twat.
Because over there they have a fanny pack, which gives cause for various illustrations in one's head of what that would be. You know what I mean? I'm applying my fanny pack. Oh, okay.
No, I'm stuffing it in my fanny pack. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, right.
Morty Vicar.
Carry on.
Yes. But yeah, so there were some wonderful insults out there. But I'm not too keyed up on the real modern ones going on back in Blighty now.
No.
And in America, it's just fuck you, asshole. There's nothing really.
Well, there's
I've
nothing
tried
fun
a bit of
about it.
road rage, and I'm still getting fuck you and asshole.
Right. The other day, I was saying to Monica, because Moni works at a Montessori school.
Right.
As you know.
Yes.
And I always laugh when they refer to each other, hello, friend.
Yeah.
Hello, friend, and all this kind of stuff. And I said, in England, if you call someone a friend, it means you don't really like them. But when you say, hello, you old bastard, it's a sign of nice things.
So all the kids come and you go, hello, cunts.
Can I get any of you cunts a drink?
Yeah. No, of course, you think of in-betweeners, don't you?
Right.
But when I first heard, hello, friend, I was like, instantly, in-betweeners.
Car friend.
Yeah. Exactly. So it is very funny.
Thumbs up, friend.
Yeah, my friend.
Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway, when we got a nice... Well, actually, it's not nice, James. The coffee is so fucking milky. I don't know
I'm
what
sorry.
happened.
Hold on a sec. You keep talking. I'll top you up with more coffee.
Yeah. So James has supplied me a very milky coffee. If that was tea, you'd be excommunicated. But for our dunk love, cue...
Dunk, 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 dunk love.
Wonderful, that. And today I thought, rather than going English-like, I thought we'd go over to our lovely French neighbours across the channel.
Oui, oui, monsieur.
Ah, bonjour, comment ça va?
Comment allez-vous?
Ah, bien, et toi?
Oui.
Ah, oui, oui. Anyway, so I went to the area. We should go on holiday to France. It would be hilarious.
It would be awful.
I do remember that time we were in Spain and your uncle, bless him, was like, garçon.
My uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, uncle.
You remember that? It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
garçon or something.
right.
It was just like, no. And he's a linguist.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
he must have been joking.
Yeah.
He's a good man. But back to another good man, Lou, who runs the French on the Block. And Lou,
And where is this?
this is, he said, quickly trying to find his
Address.
fucking information, which I can't see. So I'll have to actually use my memory. Basically, it's in Toluca Lake.
Okay.
And Lou played basketball. He's from Paris. He's married to a French lady. And basically he met her and he got into baking and he studied it and he went to a school here, a French school, and studied baking.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, he had to make adjustments because American ingredients are not as good as the French ones, obviously. We know that.
Sure.
So he had to make adjustments. But anyway, he does these delicious pastries, which I have dipped into my pocket, James, dunked even, pulled out my little wallet and purchased you. And
Wow.
I want you to look at these, James.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to show you here.
Wow.
Now, look at the shape.
Yeah, that's a very nice croissant.
They're very uniform, and you
Yeah.
can see the pastry is flaky.
Yep.
It's a tan color with a golden brown fringing on the edges, and you can see the way it's wrapped. And here you get these things that these stodgy, nasty, I'm sorry, it's true, nasty pastry efforts.
I'm sure we'll get some people complaining that we're being too hard.
Well, no, I've tried. There are some good bakeries
Yeah.
here. But the thing is, it's a bit like, what was that film with Kevin McCarthy where he goes, they're coming, Invasion of Body Snatchers.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they're a mimic of the croissant, but they're not a croissant. Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
That's a bad croissant.
Yeah. That's a
So these beauties,
Yeah.
I got you a whole one for yourself.
Thank you so much. No expense spared.
No, they're not cheap, but they are absolutely wonderful. Here, try one. I want you to tuck in there and tell me what you think. Feel free to dunk away. James, you did my coffee, right?
I did your coffee.
All right. There is an Americanism. Let's do lunch. You did my coffee. Anyway, so now tell me what you think of that.
Well, visually, it looks like a work of art.
Right? It's pleasing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice. So I'm going to tear off a bit.
And look how you tear it. Come on, let's hear some descriptions,
Yeah,
mate.
so I'm tearing it off and it's flaking
Yes.
really nicely. A couple of the outer edges have flaked off.
Delicate ribbons of pastry.
That's a lovely description.
Yeah.
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 All right, I'm going to have my first little bite here.
Yeah. And you can get that butter, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
You don't need to put anything on it.
We don't even need to warm it up. I mean, I'm sure these would be wonderful if they're
Oh,
fresh
yeah.
out of the oven.
When they
but-
first come out, the thing is, you go to Lou's on Toluca Lake. It's
that's-
called Restaurant Row.
Uh-huh.
Now, when he first started, most of that was abandoned. And his wife was like, are you sure? And he goes, yes, there's a little... I'm going to do a French accent here. I'm sorry, Lou. But it is necessary as an Englishman to do a French accent.
You sure that's a French accent?
Is it not?
It's a little mix of like French and Indian.
All right. Anyway, so he goes, no, this is it. Let's pretend he's from South London. So he goes, no, this is it. We'll do the croissants here, love. All right.
Yeah.
It's not Brick Lane, but it'll do.
Of course, mate.
Oh, yeah. That is absolutely, it melts in your mouth.
So I noticed you dunked it.
Oh, you've got a dunk.
Well, I'm going to dunk now.
Dunk.
All right. So I'm going to dunk. Oh, shit. I just dropped it right.
He's dropped it in. Oh, that is 20 points to Slytherin, mate, on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'll tell you what. You chew through the delicate ribbon of crust, you go into the soft cloud-like pastry that tears apart as if it was a candy floss made of butter.
Oh.
And then it dissolves in your mouth and you've still got the after chew of the ribboned crust.
The after chew.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, I'm wondering, maybe you should be a food critic.
I think, you know what? When I was watching crap TV with Mum and there was this food program, it was a Master Chef.
Okay.
And then you'd get this description and you go, and there, the croissants and the pastry just flakes off. And it was just like, it was almost like 50 Shades of Pastry. It was really bizarre, the description. And I was like, Mum, it's almost a bit porny, isn't it? Oh, yes, dear. Having no clue what I just said, Blazer. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it, James?
Oh, very nice. Thank you for
A
this.
real beauty. Yeah, because I'm generous. Does Moni like croissants?
She does.
Unfortunately, I haven't got her any. Sorry about that. But the thing is, imagine putting some raspberry jam on that. That's lovely, isn't it? So that's Lou, and he does sandwiches. They make French bread all through the day. He's only open Fridays, Saturdays, and some other day.
Look him up.
It's Lou, the French on the block.
Well, this is lovely. Thank you
Lovely.
very much.
You're welcome.
So you're in charge of getting the pastries next time as well, and ongoing.
Yeah, well, when we have our next guest, all being well, I will bring some of those in. He does chocolate croissants, he does almond croissants, and he does pastries as well. Beautiful little French tarts.
I'm going to have to...
Pardon me.
So French tarts are also available. Excellent.
Yeah. Now, normally, we have a little chat about the cinema
Yeah.
and streaming when we have our Dunk Love.
That's true.
Anything you've seen recently?
I watched a horrific 2-part documentary by the BBC and CNN about your friend. I forgot what his name is now.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Okay, what did it say?
Even though he was exonerated both here in the United States and in London
On all charges?
on all charges.
Is that the old Vic charges?
Yep.
Right,
Yeah, what's sad is he's a brilliant actor.
right.
He's really, really good, but he's just a creep. And you had an experience.
I did. I've never talked about it publicly, but you know what? Fuck it. First of all, I say this, and it's not done with vitriol, because I've got to be honest with you. He was actually quite decent to me back then. I worked on a movie. It's called Swimming with Sharks.
Right.
And I just come to America. And because I didn't have a kid back then, so when you have a child, you age instantly. so I was in my 20s, but I looked, late teens.
Yeah.
But the thing is I was young, but I'd had a lot of experience. I was working on movies since I was 18.
Yeah.
And then acting before then. So I knew my way around a set. I knew what people were like, and so on and so forth. Anyways, I was quite excited. I got the opportunity to do prosthetic makeup and blood effects on Kevin for Swimming with the Sharks. He was getting beaten up, so we had to do makeup tests. And funny enough, when he saw them in the mirror, he was like, oh, this is really over the top and everything. But actually, when he saw it on the film, because it was film, it wasn't digital back then, he was like, oh, yeah, it works. So that was quite nice. But the odd thing was, we was in a makeup room and it was very small makeup trailer. And he would do things like reach out and grab my belt buckle and go, oh, this is a big belt.
Right.
And I've never forgotten these words. And it's interesting, he didn't touch me or do anything.
Right.
But I'm thinking to myself, I've never forgotten those things he said. Now, imagine if you're somebody who's been touched or interfered with.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
And I kind of remembered it because I thought it was odd. I'd never had an actor say that before. He was friendly. I had to go up and meet him in his hotel room. He was talking on the phone to Al Pacino.
Okay.
And, and I could hear Al on the phone, and this is when Kevin was on his rise.
Yeah, yeah.
So one time he was in the makeup chair and I was prepping him for a prosthetic piece on his head. He gets all his hair cut off. And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, you know what I like to do now, Martin? I'd like to lie back and just come on my chest. Spoo. He said spoo. He goes, I'd like to spoo all over my chest and let it dry.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, Kevin. Very nice, And I just kind of laughed it off, you know.
Right.
And then I think the most weirdest one was when I was washing his hair, taking the appliance out, and I had to stand behind him.
Right.
And as I stood behind him, he made motions as if I was fucking him up the arse, basically.
Jesus
He was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And again, I laughed it off, and that was it.
Right.
And then I carried on doing his makeup, and he was cool. He had to basically put himself in charge of the production a bit more because it was going off the rails a bit.
Right.
And in the end, he got us some tickets to see his film he was in at the time. I can't remember. It was about, I think he was with, not Gina Davis. It was a husband-wife film.
It wasn't American Beauty, was it?
No, it wasn't that. But anyway, that was weird.
Yeah.
And as I say, that was as weird as it got. But so when I hear these people and I listen to them, I can believe it. I can believe it. And, you have to have a fine balance. I mean, I've not talked about it before because I'm like, well, it was tiny and really and truly, I don't want to besmirch him and so on and so forth. But the thing is, he has been convicted, even though it's now been reversed. People think he's a great actor and he should be left alone. But I think it's very hard for people to put their hand up and say, I've been touched, I've been interfered with, I've been looked at, I've been made uncomfortable. And there's all this thing about woke. Oh, you're woke. And it's like, fuck off.
Right.
Being woke means you're awake. You're open to the fact that people are bad and can do bad things.
Yeah, and I think his power went to his head. And in this documentary, he's getting on with other actors who are maybe lower on the totem pole than he was. And he was making it like he could help them. And then when they respectfully said, you know what, Kevin, this isn't what I want, or I'm straight, he would turn around and either cut them off entirely, or he would say, well, I like the challenge, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, he was coming on to ex-military people. Somebody who was an ex-Marine or something and was trying to get into acting. Just horrible story. And then when it happened in England at the Old Vic, turns out he was holding these classes so that he could weigh up who was possibly grooming.
It's grooming.
Yeah, it was horrendous. So I was like sitting there going, fuck, yeah, this is just horrible.
He's going back to Baby Reindeer.
Yeah.
You know, the problem with entertainment is we all come into it with need. You want something, you need something. You know, I'm the first to admit, I catch myself. You know, I meet somebody, maybe a parent who might be a producer or something, and there's part of you that's like, oh. Well, now I'm at the age I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. I want to know that person if I do get to know them for who they are. But the thing is, on the other hand, we do live in a world where you need friends and you need to know how to make friends and influence people. You need to do that. So it's very hard. And of course, you get people who are in these positions of power and they abuse it. I don't think Kevin started out, I'm going to be an abuser and I'm going to abuse her. But the thing is, this flush of success, the fact that the gateway's open for you, it must be intoxicating.
Well, watch the documentary because it kind of starts when he's in high school.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that just blows my bullshit away. No, because it's interesting you say that because I was talking to Sally about that, people in particular. And when you're younger, it's not something you develop as an adult. It's something that's prevalent right there as a kid even. So that I can, that makes sense.
And it was interesting because they're going back to his childhood and they're talking to his elder brother who seems like a nice person but also seems a little odd as well, but not in a same way Kevin Spacey was. But he was saying, Dad would beat him up, not Kevin. And so I'm kind of segueing on something else. Did you ever see the show The White House Plumbers on HBO?
No, I did not.
Okay. It was excellent. And it was about the Nixon tapes and how they were trying to get in there. And of course, it's based on the true story. And then one of the characters in that, they go over to dinner at their place. And instead of putting music on his record player, he's putting in Hitler's speeches.
What?
Because he was a secret Nazi, right?
Oh, my God.
And it turns out that Kevin Spacey's dad was an American Nazi. So they were growing up with that. He had all this Nazi memorabilia. I mean, quite shocking.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it goes, when I say it's funny, by the way, from American
funny,
audiences, it doesn't mean funny, ha. It means funny, odd. It's an English expression.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to talk like Kevin. Now I'm remembering how he sounded. Oh, Martin. All I want to do is lie back and spool over my chest and let it dry.
Yeah.
But the thing is that...
Awkward.
Well, it is awkward. And it's interesting because if you think of American Beauty, which you mentioned, there's similar themes there.
Yeah.
And I think talking about parenting, and it's so important to be conscious of what you say, how you raise that child, and this terrible human thing of abusing our young. And it's just fucking awful.
Yeah.
But you're a fucking adult.
Yeah.
You make decisions. Look, if Danny Trejo, I'm not sure if I'm sure his name.
Yeah.
Right.
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo. He was a kid. He had a cousin who was really cool and had rolls of money on and everything. And Danny went towards that as you would and was impressed. And it turns out he was a criminal. Yeah. And so Danny got into that and ended up in jail. And he was fucking hard and he just did weightlifting and so on and so forth. But he said as an adult, it was a moment in jail where somebody had got shanked, stabbed, literally in front of him. There was blood all over the place. It had been taken away. And he was playing cards, and all he was concerned about was that he had a good hand.
Yeah.
And that moment, he said, caught him. It was an awakening of, oh my God, what have I become?
Yeah.
There's somebody's blood everywhere. I don't care. I just care about my fucking hand.
And then he got his act together.
And he made a choice as an adult.
Yeah.
He was the hardest fucking criminal.
Yeah.
And look at him now.
Yeah.
And they say he's a pleasure to work with and so on and so forth. So that's my thing. You're a fucking adult. You can make choices. You can change what you couldn't as a kid, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea. But, it's people who don't change.
Well, then they're making a choice is all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you've always said it's about making a choice. You know, going back to when we were teenagers, you would say things sometimes that were quite, not risque, but just could be taken as mean-spirited. And you said, well, you have a choice, James. You have a choice to take it in the way it was intended, or you can take offense from it.
Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
That was quite wise,
Yes,
wasn't I?
yeah,
What
you were.
happened?
Well, you were older than me.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's ancient, everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
Old enough to be your father, mate.
Not quite.
No.
No.
So you watched that horrible documentary. Anything else?
Well, what did you watch?
Well, I watched, finally.
Yes.
Now, I know I should have sat in a huge fucking cinema and seen it, but Dune 2.
What do you think?
Well, buckle up. Well, I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
Because I like Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
Villeneuve?
Villeneuve, yeah.
Villeneuve? Back to the French.
Yeah.
The Denis on the block. Anyway, so when I say I like him, I like his arrival. And what else? No, I like his arrival. So the thing is, I hated his Blade Runner. I didn't like Dune 1, but I heard this one was really great. I know there's some great people that worked on it.
Yep.
And I always have this caveat. It's not an insult. It's not a critique of the crew.
Right. No, you've made that quite clear. Yeah.
Well, it's important because I don't want to be a cunt. It's not right. I think you can criticize without hurting people. Not that anybody's going to be hurt by Martin. Oh, Martin Mercer didn't like it. Oh!
Right.
But the thing is, on the one hand, there's beautiful images there.
Sure.
And to me, it seemed like a vignette of beautifully hard-edge designed silhouettes and moments in time strung together by lukewarm performances of characters who, though in the book are strong and insightful and somewhat inspiring, even though there is a complaint that, once again, it's a white dude coming and rescuing the natives. Right? Mm-hmm. The people of color. Oh, here comes the white guy. And actually, I never saw that when I was younger. And now people explain it. It's like, oh, fucking hell, it's exactly what it is. Yeah. And I think he does try and address that in the movie by having people mention that, the Fremen, talk about that and so on and so forth. And there are some moments where, you see the scale and the vastness, but it's very cold. The thing I liked about Lynch's, and Lynch's is a film that's full of faults, but there was some passion and soul in there and depth to a degree. And the problem is with this, even though there's some great technology used, I mean, I love the ornithopters. There's a great scene where they're raiding the spice miners. Yeah. I can imagine in a cinema that would be really impactful. Sure. Seeing it on my screen,
not so much.
It's not as much, obviously, so that's not their fault. But the thing is, I like a film that pulls me in. This one, I felt like an observer. Right. And that I was, look, there's Baron Harkonnen with his floating balls, pardon the pun. Okay, that's a great shot there. He's floating there. His balls are up there. And then we can see out the window and all the fucking spaceships. That's really cool. But you're so aware of it. When I watch Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, you're in it.
You're in the world.
You're in the fucking world.
Yeah.
The matte painting might not be as well composited or done as in Dune 2, but there's a soulfulness. And I really wanted to like this. And I did watch it all and I enjoyed it. But I'm sorry, James, it will not be a film that will be talked about in 2 or 3 years' time.
Don't apologise. I mean, I have a confession to make. Not only have I not seen Dune 2,
right? I
didn't like David Lynch's one either.
Well, I get that, and a lot of people didn't. It's a mess.
I tried to watch it before watching Dune 1.
Okay.
And I couldn't get past the first 20 minutes. I think I watched up to when whatever that creature is that comes in on the...
Come on, that is the best creature entrance. The third stage navigator. That ranks alongside Cameron's Alien Queen, Spielberg's The First Tyrannosaurus Rex. That is the third stage navigator, Carl Arambaldi's mechanical makeup effects. And there's, come on, with the talking vag, and when the doors open and it's in this long lozenge. Oh, it's awesome. And then it speaks and they be able to, and they translate it.
Right. Yeah, no, that was up to where I...
He's like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, no. No. Sorry, mate.
Computer says no.
I watched up to that point and then it disappears backwards through the doors and I was like, I can't. It didn't draw me in.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it was bad. It just didn't do anything for me.
No, it's been well criticised.
But when I did watch Dune 1, again, I found myself being on my phone.
Right.
Okay, this bit, and then fast forwarding, just keeping it on fast forward till something happened because I'm like, this is such a snooze fest. But as you've said, Dune 2, I know. It's one of my favorite descriptors.
I think that's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's a snooze fest.
Bit like our episode.
Yeah.
No, you take that back.
You correct yourself.
Yes. But yeah, no, I'll have to watch Dune 2 now that's out. But other friends of mine saw it in the movie theater and said it was very engaging. I was like, okay.
Well, again, I can imagine in the movie there with the sound design and apart from my problems, is that my hearing. So here I get beautiful subtitles.
Right.
So I actually more engaged hearing the story than I would be at the cinema because I'd be like, ah. But the thing is, yes, on a visual sound level, I can imagine. You see that in IMAX. Yeah. It's much better than the first one, I have to say.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. And to wrap up on that film-wise, I saw a horror film.
Oh, yeah.
And this was called Talk to Me. Now, this Talk to Me was directed by, fill in the names here.
Fact check.
And they're from Australia.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my really dear friend Darren Dellinger is a superb animatic story artist. And he said, oh, check out these videos. And what they would do these pastiches of Lord of the Rings. And it's very chaotic, but it was, they had their own visual effects and they shoot it in the house and do all that stuff. But I was like, with respect to my mate, who I love, but I was like, really? And so when everybody was like, oh, talk to me, it's great. I was like, really? I'll tell you what, I saw it. I was like, fucking hell.
Really?
Wow. You would never guess that the same guys directed it. It is assured direction for what it is. It's a small budget. I always love Australian movies anyway.
Sure.
I love their actors. I love the characters. And in this, there's a sense of dread. They do a really cool sort of surprise, and it's just really solid directing, solid horror storytelling, and it's good. I'd recommend it.
All right, I'll have to check that out. Is it streaming?
Yes, and it's a great idea. It's a possession thing.
Okay.
But the idea of you have this porcelain hand, I don't know if you've heard of the Hand of Glory.
No.
The Hand of Glory is like a black magic thing. Usually was the left hand of a hanged victim.
Oh.
And you would use that to cast a spell. So Hand of Glory. But anyway, so it's kind of like that, but it's this hand that you touch and you can talk to the dead. Oh. That's why it's called Talk to Me, you see.
Okay.
But the thing is you can only hold on to it for 90 seconds. If you go beyond that,
bad things happen.
Cue 80s synth horror music.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I recommend that, mate. And it is on Paramount Plus.
Oh, good.
Yes.
All right. I'll check that out then. I did have a look at Ready or Not, which was a 2019 horror movie starring Samara
Oh, is that
Weaving.
the game one?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like the hide and seek on the wedding night.
Yes.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I really
Why'd your voice
enjoyed
go
that. No. It was out of surprise.
Yeah.
I was not expecting too much, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did see that, and I got vague memories of it. She gets help though, doesn't she?
Well,
she?
sort of, and then they turn on her.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's a twist. Yes.
Yeah, there's a twist.
Yeah.
And then
yes, it's the father, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's well, you didn't give away too much, but no, I just thought she was excellent. Everybody was really good.
Who was it?
It was Samara Weaving played the bride.
Right.
Adam Brody played her husband.
That's not something. Oh, okay.
And Andy McDowell played the mother.
That's right. Oh, she's great.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I used to fancy her. Sorry,
yeah, back in
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah.
And then the other ones. But yeah, really enjoyable. So yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that, I recommend that.
Yeah. Middle-aged fancy, Andy McDowell. She's a good actress, great actress.
On my feed popped up Atlas with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, yes, I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Good?
I haven't seen it yet. I wondered if you had.
No, but there's another movie that was made in Britain due to the tax incentives. Now, I just want to talk about that a minute, James.
Okay.
No, because it's really weird, but you're starting to see all these news articles. You know, the LA Times is like, what can we do to bring Hollywood back? The problem is that there are things called tax incentives. Right. Now, everybody goes, oh, these tax incentives, they don't work. But you're putting all this money into rich filmmakers' pockets. And the reality is they do work. Yeah. Dear friend Steve Feinberg, who is the Rhode Island Film Commissioner, he's been there for 20 years. And he actually invented the tax credit program here.
Really?
All the
other
that all the other states now copy.
Right.
And basically, he had to prove himself.
Yeah.
because Steve was a writer.
Yeah.
He actually wrote the film Fortress.
Right. Okay.
Yes, which is a cool science fiction film.
I'll have to look at
And
that.
so he had to prove himself because he was proved himself as a writer, but not as a film commissioner. So he did an independent study, and it turned out that for every dollar that was spent in tax credits,
Yeah.
$8 was put back into the
Yeah,
economy.
I think you've mentioned this before.
Right.
Yeah,
But not
okay.
to our illustrious audience. And so it does work. And look, it must work because if you look at Atlanta,
Yeah.
if you look at London,
Yeah.
now London, to me, you've got the old film industry, which was when I was living there, which is hand to fucking mouth.
Yeah.
When I was working at Image Animation at Pinewood, one minute we were doing Candyman, the next minute we were literally scraping by doing adverts, barely.
Right.
And then you had the Harry Potter effect.
Yeah.
Harry Potter got made, and then the government did a 30% above and below the line tax credit.
Wow.
And also, because of visual effects, suddenly jumped. It wasn't just ILM anymore.
Yeah.
You had DNEG in London,
Yeah.
who did all the Potter stuff. And so London became this place. And of course, it works. Billions and billions of pounds. And in Atlanta, billions of dollars. And in California, as far as I'm aware, Newsom has renewed the tax credits. It's for every 5 years they come up for renewal. I think it's 350 million. Trouble is, 350 million is 2 Marvel movies.
Right.
And it's a lottery system.
Yeah.
Now, you've had Mandalorian, the movie that's been shooting now. A couple of my mates are on it. They won an amount for the lottery. I don't know what it was. So they're making that here.
Yeah.
Also, Fallout,
Yep.
the Amazon show,
Yes. Excellent.
that's coming here, season 2. They're doing a season 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is awesome. But the thing is California, and especially Los Angeles, I think has a problem, is that they allow this decay and shit to happen. For years, the film industry has been runaway production, as they call it. It's been slipping away for fucking years.
Yeah, but that's been going on since the early 90s.
Right.
I remember X-Files was all shot up in Canada, in
Yeah.
Vancouver and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, why is it going up there? Because it was cheap and they offered tax incentives.
Yeah. And I worked on X-Files when it was down
Yes,
here.
yes.
And I tell you what, I hate to say it, but it wasn't as good as the one up in Vancouver.
No, it wasn't.
You know?
It's interesting because driving through Hollywood Way the other day, I noticed all the sound stages are now going up on the old Warner Studios lot.
Yeah.
And it's sad because there was a lot of really good standing sets and streets and everything. Things like
Yeah.
the Lethal Weapon house.
That's right. They had the houses.
The
yeah.
Bewitched House, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All these classic shows
Yeah.
and films were all shot there
Yeah.
on this tiny little lot that's now going to have something like 12 sound stages built on it. I mean, huge sound stages going
Yeah,
up.
but it's weird, James, because like you rightly say, you've got all this infrastructure going up.
Yeah.
And in London, actually, there was an article talking about there's too many sound stages. They've stopped
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
They've stopped the funding because now there's not the work.
Right.
But the thing is now you've got the chief of Sony saying, oh, well, we're going to start using AI.
Right.
You've got another company in San Francisco, one of these fucking tech bro wankers,
Yeah.
who's released this thing called Showrunner.
Uh-huh.
You can be your own showrunner.
Oh,
there I go
God.
in my Kevin voice again. And you can direct, write. It's all fucking AI generated, basically.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, and not just me, is just thinking, hold on, you're building these fucking sound stages?
Yeah.
And then on the other breath, you're talking about investing in pure AI production and you're still shooting in Europe. You know, Hungary's now the big place.
Right. It's all cyclical because everything used to go to Prague and then everything was in England and then everything's in Canada. Then everything went down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then everything's back in LA.
Well, there's theories that, oh, well, it's going to come back to Los Angeles. But the problem is, I hate to say, I'm not going to diss LA, but it is a hard place to travel to work. You know, there was an actor who got shot because he caught 3 guys trying to take off his catalytic converter.
Jesus.
People are like, oh, it's not fucking safe to make a film here. Well, you could go to Bulgaria and make a movie there and you'll be fine.
Well,
You know?
maybe not. I was
don't
just watching the other day. Some girl got stabbed to death in London. No, a 9-year-old girl and 3 other members of her family were shot. She's in critical
Oh,
condition.
that was in Hackney.
fucking Hackney.
Yeah, well, Hackney's always been dodgy, mate.
Yeah, but not for getting shot.
No. Now it's more prevalent because the gang culture has taken a hold.
Yeah.
When my sister was living there, you know, there were cars set on fire and shit like that. It wasn't a good
I mean,
place.
we
It's
had
been
our fair share
gentrified
of
a bit.
riots.
Yeah, we have. Well, you were caught in one. Come on.
Yeah.
You were running towards it as you do.
Well, no, we were going to a restaurant. We parked in the parking lot in Enfield Town.
Right.
We'd just come from the last Harry Potter movie, and we got out and we saw all these crowds of people going, what the hell's that? Okay, well, let's just go have pizza. And then as we're walking towards the Pizza Express there, these cars coming the other way going, you don't want to go that way, mate. You don't want to go that way. And I'm like, why? He goes, no, something bad's going on. And we looked and we did a U-turn.
Yeah.
And as we were hurriedly walking back, suddenly these crowds of people in hoodies and like cricket bats and stuff like that were just running towards us and overtaking us. They weren't hurting us, but they were looting everywhere else. And we
hold on. You were there and they were like smashing shop windows by you.
Yeah, because that was like Enfield Town, the main drag.
Yeah.
And that Pizza Express was on the corner.
Yeah.
And then as we got to the car, they were jumping over the walls. It was like a scene out of World War Z.
Right, it's like I can see these zombie hoodies.
Right. And we drove off pretty hastily in the opposite direction. And I said, well, we'll still go for pizza. So we went to the one in Barnet.
James is like, fuck the riots. I want pizza.
I didn't know what was going on. And we go there, and I think it was a relatively empty restaurant. And we get there and I said, do you know what's going on in Enfield? She goes, yeah, apparently the riots that were happening in Tottenham had spread because of the death of that guy who was apparently a father, but he was also on the wrong side of the law.
Duggan.
Yeah.
And he apparently threw a gun out the window.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so we got there and she goes, yeah, I'm a bit worried because my boyfriend runs that Pizza Express. She goes, I'm a bit worried about, oh my God, what are you going to do? She goes, I think they're locking themselves in.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God. I said, what are you going to do tonight? She goes, well, I can't go to Enfield. I'm like, oh, crikey. That was crazy.
But that must have been a terrifying situation to be in that.
It was pretty scary.
But well done you, because you're like, fuck this. It's Harry Potter and the Pizza Express. I'm having it. Lock the fucking doors. We're doing a Shaun of the Dead here.
Yeah. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah. So well done you. But my Lord, the thing is, I remember the riots and the Brixton riots in the 80s.
Yeah.
But you see, because of technology and messaging, and that spread like throughout the whole of fucking England. It was like full.
Well, I remember the Brixton riots and even the ones in Wood Green and all that were all to do with the poll tax.
Oh, those. Okay. Not the original Brixton riots. That was because of the sus laws.
Was
the sus laws,
Oh, was it?
Actually, sus has come back, talking of vernacular and wording and insults.
Yeah.
Because,
sus.
Again, my son is like, that's sus, Dad. I was like, oh, are you saying that's suspicious, son?
Or you got sussed out.
Yeah, you got sussed. Jimmy Hill chin, sus to dust. Right? You remember? Right? Oh, my chin's itching. Which means you don't believe somebody because you're suspecting they're talking out of their arse. Yeah. So anyway, the sus laws was when the officers, and invariably they would stop black guys and girls, and they got pissed off with it.
Yeah.
And anyways, it partly came from that, but also it was the death of unfortunately, we're going to have to do a fact check on this for respect. But somebody got killed in police custody, and that's what ignited it.
Yeah.
But it was all brewing.
But there was that, and there was the poll tax riots and all that.
Yeah.
And then the one back in 2014 was because of the Duggan situation.
Right.
But what was interesting about that was Monty and I went with Guy up to Edinburgh. And as we were driving up on the radio, they were saying the riots have now started hitting Birmingham. And then we go past Manchester. The riots have just hit Manchester. And as we kept going up the country, riots were right behind us by about an hour. So we're like, oh, crap.
Oh, my God.
You know, it's just like, what the fuck?
Oh, at least you have a good crowd at the Edinburgh Festival.
Yes, we did have a good crowd at the Edinburgh Festival.
But then it's interesting now because, of course, what the police did, I think in that last riot situation, they had CCTV. In Britain, there's cameras everywhere now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like China. And I remember when I first became aware of that, when I went back and I was visiting my sis in Hackney, and I happened to glance up and there was this long pole, and on it was this camera, and then the fucking thing moved. It went, and it like rotated round, and there was a cyclist, and it turned and followed the cyclist. I was like, oh my fucking God, there's actually there's somebody there with a joystick, you know. But the thing is, people were grumbling, saying, what are the cops doing? They're not doing anything really, you know. But what they were doing, every face on that fucking footage, even if it was masked, they'd match it. And then a couple of months later, it was like, hello, sunshine. Can I have a word in your shell, like? You're nicked, me beauty. You know, and so that's how they dealt with it. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Crazy times.
You know, talking about internet and everything,
yes.
I was reading quite an interesting article about young people trying to get their head round what did we do when we didn't have a phone and we didn't have the internet.
Right.
And it was quite interesting. They had people talk about what they did.
Yeah.
You know, people of our advanced age. And some people are like, well, I'd get on the bus or the train, somebody in New York.
Yeah.
I'd read the paper.
Yeah.
I'd put my headphones on. I'd listen to my Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
Which is a device with a tape in. That tape has magnetic sound called music and it plays. Anyway, so they would listen to that and they'd get into the office.
Yeah.
And then people would be around the water cooler with a newspaper and they talk about the articles and they chat. And then the whole concept of no work emails after you've done.
Yeah.
There'd no calls, no fucking nothing.
No.
You'd have your life outside of it.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you could go back. What did you do, James, before you had the fucking phone? You come home from, say, school or from the job and...
get on the old landline telephone, call my friends and say, do you want to go to the pub? Or do you want to come over and have some toast and watch a film or something, or anything? We definitely had more of a life in our childhood than the kids do today.
Because I'm thinking when you, particularly the toast, it's a great memory of going to your kitchen table and out would come the fucking piles of toast, beautifully buttered by James, one of his specialties. Can't do anything else, but he does that.
It's too true.
And we would munch toast and we would just talk and engage.
Yeah.
But if that was now, we'd all be on our fucking phones. We wouldn't be saying anything.
Yeah, which is surprising because even here in this setup, I've got my computer in front of me, I've got my iPad, you've got your iPad.
Right.
And we keep glancing at our notes. I mean, we've been sat here having dinner and we'll go, oh, what was that thing? We'd look it up. And I know Monica gets quite upset if I'm glancing at my phone if we're having dinner or something like that. So it's one of those things like now I get it when people say, you know what, when you come over, leave your phones at home or let's put them in a basket somewhere so we're not talking about it. But then inevitably what happens is someone texts and it's like, squirrel. You know, that kind of thing.
It's the Pavlov. When the bell rings, the dog wags its tail and goes over and eats its food. And I feel it myself. It's the phantom phone ring.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The vibration on your
time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's shot.
I had my phone in front of me today and my ass cheek is tingling. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh.
No, where the pocket. Where, you know.
Oh,
where,
right. Sorry.
No, not.
Tingling ass cheek.
Yeah, well, that could be the MS.
Oh. You always do that. I make a joke and you're like, I'll be like, oh yeah, remember so-and-so, one arsehole. And you're like, oh yeah, he's just died of cancer, mate. So I just shrink in size, anyway.
All right, just to bring the conversation down, for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with MS in 2008, completely out of the blue.
What is MS, James?
It's multiple sclerosis, and basically
What is that?
A neurological disorder where plaque starts building up on your brain and it starts shorting out your signals.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? Because I don't know much about it. Isn't it something to do with your nerves? Actually, the sheath of the nerve gets stripped?
Yeah, well, the plaque builds up on your brain and it will cause short circuits, as it were.
So it's not in the nerves, it's on the surface of the brain?
And it can be in the nerves, depending on where it is.
Right.
With me, we have cancer in our family. We have heart disease in our family.
Yeah.
So when this event happened, I was thinking, oh, I've had a heart attack.
Right.
But no. The doctor comes and he goes, well, you've got MS. I'm like, what the hell is MS? Multiple sclerosis. Showed me a MRI and it's like these little marks all over my brain where the plaque is. Anyway, long story short, it kind of dissipated over 14 years and kind of went away.
Right, but hold on. I'm going to fact check you here.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Because you've controlled it by using herbal supplements.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone away on its own.
No, it hasn't gone away at all.
No, you've controlled it using herbal supplements without taking, I should say, advanced chemical medicines that could give you an inadvertent reaction.
Correct.
As most of these things have.
Correct.
Right? So you've gone the holistic route.
Somewhat.
Right.
And I'm taking some drugs to aid in walking and numbness and things like that, which I have to say have become more prevalent since 2020.
Right.
So it's been getting worse. And I don't want to say, oh, woe is me kind of stuff, but it's been getting to the point where I physically lose energy from a simple thing like walking to the end of the driveway to open the gate or something like that. And it's just really frustrating. Like I said, not a woe is me thing. Anyway, I've decided to take this new drug called rituximab. And I say new, it's been out for about 6 years. And it's an infusion.
That sounds like something backwards. Rituximab.
Yeah. We're in the And I've decided to do this thing. It's not fucking cheap. It's not cheap. I need 4 infusions over 2 years. So it's 1 infusion every 6 months. The first one takes about 8 hours, and I'm really sitting in a chair for 8 hours. And I'm like, you know what? everybody's saying, just do it. If you can get back to being able to walk and not lose energy, this will be good for you, blah, blah, blah. So last night I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, what to expect when you have your...
You Googled.
I did. And it's like, well, the side effects of rituximab are, number one, death. I'm like, what?
Was that number one?
Yeah.
Death.
No bones about it. And they have to say that because you can get a rash, you can get an infection, you can make you susceptible to this, that, and the other. But any reactions that you're going to have, allergic reactions, are going to happen during the first infusion or within 24 hours thereafter. And I was like, I'm not going to let that get to me because the benefits of having this treatment is going to be better than what I'm going through now, because I don't want to freaking be this person that is just dragging my leg around like the Terminator.
Right. Well, totally. But it breaks me out to see you like that.
Oh.
You know, we used to go on nice walks.
Yeah.
And we could see even then, if you remember, there was a noticeable something was going on.
Yeah.
Now, you say infusion. Of course, when I hear infusion, I'm thinking, in my brain, this is how my stupid brain works, I see a glass bottle and I see this green tea bag dispersing. Infusion.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, so if you're sat there for 8 hours,
Yeah.
you've got, what, 2 pints of blood inside you. So are they...
Just 2.
Oh, no,
I thought
8.
there was,
Sorry, I'm
8 or
confusing
9,
you with Nosferatu.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, what are they doing? Is your blood going out and this shit's
No,
going in?
basically-
Is this shit going in the blood?
Consider it something akin to your first treatment of chemo.
Okay.
So there's this stuff in a packet that goes in intravenously. I don't know where they put it in, whether it's in my arm or in my chest or somewhere like that.
Okay.
And they don't want to do it too quick because they want to monitor how you're reacting to it.
Oh, Christ.
So it says one of the side effects is your throat could swell up, your tongue could swell up, your eyes could
He
swell
looks
up.
like a bullfrog.
That's
Stop the infusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then they can slow it down or stop it depending on how your reaction is. But the good news is they make you do all these tests beforehand, which I did. And my doctor said, your levels are perfect. You're good to go. Because if it wasn't, they would have said, no, this isn't right for you. So everything's good to go. So this is going to happen on June 25th. I've asked them to bring it forward sooner rather than later because I do want to go back to England at Christmas. And if this is going to happen every 6 months, then the next one's going to be around Christmas Day. They won't obviously do it Christmas Day. They'll do it 3 days before or 3 days after. So I kind of want them to do it early June so that I can be done early December and then I'm good to go.
A Christmas Infusion by Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is I say problem is you're in America.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's offered on the National Health, right? We discussed. But here it ain't.
No.
Here it's like, how much?
Well, okay, so that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I discovered the other day when I was trying to figure out if I could get some sort of help paying for this thing. My insurance that I currently have is the worst possible insurance someone in my condition could have. It's the cheapest one you can get. And it's great for people who are generally healthy and only see their doctors 3 times a year, right? Unfortunately, with that being the cheapest thing, my deductible for anything bad, whether it's a hospital visit or MRIs or anything else that goes along with it, is a minimum of $6,300.
$6,300 out of your pocket.
Out of my pocket. Now, people say, well, you know, you could get 2 round-trip tickets to England for that. Yes, that is true. I could do this in the UK, except I would have to be in the UK for some time because I would go on a list. So I couldn't just get on a plane and go, I need this done today.
Right. Well, it's not like that here even. I mean, this is private medicine basically here.
Yeah.
And when Sal has to have an exam or something, it's not like, oh, next week. It's like, oh, yeah, 2 months' time. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's not National Health here.
No, and that all happened during the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, I could make an appointment to see my doctor and I'd get it, best case scenario, a week.
Right.
Worst case scenario, 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Now, or since the pandemic, it's been, I need to see my doctor. Well, the earliest we can see you is 6 months from now. I'm like,
what?
This is my
You've
fucking-
had that said?
Yes.
6 fucking months?
So but we can offer you somebody else. You can see them next week. Or
Who
we can do
doesn't
it-
know you?
Or we can do a video visit. And I have to
Unreal.
say, the doctor I did see, he was excellent. And I love my doctor.
Really?
Yeah. No, I do. I do like my doctor because I've known him since 2008.
Oh, wow.
But if I can't see him, what good is it?
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, this other guy was really good and he took what seemed like a sincere interest in my health and wanted to do these things to make sure that I was okay. Anyway, that's by the by. The point is this thing's going to cost best case scenario, $6,300 for the first year and $6,300 for the second year.
Right.
But if I can't get the second dose this side of Christmas, then it will actually cost me a total of $18,000 over 3 years as opposed to $12,900 over 2 years.
It's just unfucking believable.
And incidentally, just so you know, the actual cost of this drug without insurance is $19,000 per infusion.
19.
Yeah. So if you had no insurance whatsoever, that's what you'd be out of pocket for.
So this incredibly expensive liquid, you've listed the side effects, death.
Yeah.
What are the positive we can take from this to end?
The positive thing to end on this is that it slows down what's going on in my brain.
Right. So it slows down the plaque attack.
Yeah. It can't repair anything.
Right.
But it will slow it down. And with other medications I'm on, which is supposed to reconnect the circuits, as it were, I should be able to start walking. Hopefully, my goal is that at some point from June until this whole thing's done, I want to be able to go for more than a 20-minute walk. I want to be able to walk 3 to 5 miles a day.
Right.
I've put on so much weight. I'm really miserable.
Oh.
It really sucks. I hate it. I'm carrying
sorry,
it
mate.
like a fucking spare tire. I can't bear it.
Well, you have to build a shed over your tools.
I already have one.
Well, I think the huge audience we now have will be thinking of you and,
well, thank you.
you know, hoping you
But like I
get
said,
well.
thank you. It's not a pity party. I'm just saying it because you've been witnessing my slowing down over the last few years. And it's like, yeah, it needs to stop.
Well, yeah, it's depressing me.
Well,
So for fuck's sake.
my work is done here.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Anyway.
And Mercer's depressed. And next.
Yeah. All right. So we've got some stuff coming up. We got a really good interview with a wonderful guy called Reza Bird, who is from Iran and a documentary filmmaker. He is your friend.
He's my friend, but he's a little bit of your friend
Oh,
too.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, looking forward to that.
Yep.
And that is going to be brilliant.
Hope so.
All right. And we have some other goodies coming up as well.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Cheers.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Before we go, we bring you our
Fact check! Fact check! Fact check!
Fact check segment.
Here with the benefit of hindsight,
And editing.
we can own up to our mistakes.
All right. First off, a salute to the acting legend, Mr. Donald Sutherland, who passed away recently.
Absolutely. We were talking about him, weren't we, in Invasion of Body Snatchers, which is a classic. I love that version of it.
Yes.
And also Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now, which his performance was absolutely terrifying, and all the other movies he was involved in. So a bit of a loss, a real talent, and a real legend.
Indeed. Right. The Independence Day director we couldn't remember the name of was Roland Emmerich.
Ah, yes. What the Sigma? According to Mr. Lindsay on TikTok, the saying actually started trending back this April and came from a SpongeBob meme where Squidward and SpongeBob, it sounds like I'm talking code here, are watching someone make an ice cream cone, and Squidward says, "What the Sigma?" And SpongeBob says, "What the Sigma?" And that's why all the middle schoolers are saying it, James.
So, Lou, the French on the block, is at 4007 West Riverside Drive in Burbank, 91505. I highly recommend, as does my counterpart, Mr. Mercer, going there and having a really good croissant and other bits and pieces.
You have yourself a nice good croissant there, my lad. Talk to Me directors are Danny and Michael Philippou. Did I say?
Yeah, you said that right.
Oh, amazing. Sorry, chaps. From Adelaide, South Australia. They are known for Raka Raka and The Babadook, which I believe Michael acted in. Yeah, it's excellent, that.
The sus laws and the Brixton riots came about because of growing tensions between the black community and the Metropolitan Police. One of these was discrimination through the stop and search, in quotes, sus, which enabled the police to stop anyone they deemed acting suspiciously, essentially enabling racial profiling. Apparently, SAS laws meant discrimination against Bigfoot.
Hey? Bigfoot? SAS? Special Air Service? What are you on, lad?
Not on enough.
No.
Talk to you later.
Bye.